You mentioned jumps. The question that I get a lot is what's the difference if I want to increase my power or my jump height, would I not just do jumps? Different variations of jumps. One argument could be made, well, some of these lifting variations may provide you with a kind of that strength power stimulus to aid in your jumping. Can you talk a little bit about the comparison between a push jerk, a push press, the mechanics and the kinetics versus actual jumps, counter movement jumps, jump squats, those types of things?
Yeah. Uh, Unfortunately, we don't have enough information yet because many research is needed on that topic. But what I want to say is that, for example, for the push press, push jerk, and split jerk, the three exercises, they share the same propulsion phase, which is similar to the jumping propulsion, but is not equal. It means when you have a bar in the front rack position, you can just go down, right, with the trunk as strictly as possible. Because if you incline the trunk as you do in a counter moment jump, for example, the bar will good drops. It's natural, no? And especially if you have 100 kg or more than that, no? So there are differences, and also like the dip that you can perform when you have like the bar on a front rack position, it's gonna be always like uh, less deeper than the one that you can perform on a counter moment jump. So you can do a full counter moment jump if you want, a full squat if you want, a deep one. But in the push air or in the push press, you can't. So you can go lower, as you said before, but you cannot go to a thruster position, no? As people they do in the thruster, because it makes no sense. So you are losing all the energy. So what I could say is that I could work on these exercises if my point is to target the triple extension, is to target like the propulsion phase, overloading it, right? And especially, I think these exercises are more secure or have more safety for the lifter, because when you are jumping with the bar on your shoulders, right? What happens if you fail?
Which
But if you fail,
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, I mean, when you are doing jump squats, you can see some papers from Cormy that they were training with 80% of the 1RM in a squat. 80% of the 1RM in a squat, if your squat is 200 kgs, 80% is going to be around
60.
107. So, have you ever tried to jump with 170 kg on your shoulder?
I could try. I'll give it a
Don't want,
shot.
don't want to.
Yeah.
Famous last words. Yeah.
However, you can do a push press or a split jerk with like the bar in the front rack position, right? With 90% of your maximum split jerk. And if you fail, right, the bar drops forward and nothing happened. So that's why I think these exercises are gonna be very interesting as as I said before, as a training tools for the coach. You can use it or not. Maybe if your athletes they don't know the technique, right? Maybe you're gonna spend a lot of time teaching the technique. But if they can use them, why not?
Would you say that so your point is there's a benefit obviously if you want to increase jump height, jump performance, these types of things, you're going to do some of that too. Um, Stretch shortening cycle, you're going to do some plyometric stuff, but the push press is a way to overload those positions while still getting that it's that speed, it's that strength speed continuum.
Yeah.
So what about putting the bar on your back and doing push press and push jerk, because now you can actually incline your torso a little bit more forward if you want to, and you don't have to worry about some people are limited by the front rack position in general. It's a little awkward. You got to move your face out of the way. If you just put the bar on your back and do a push press or a push jerk, now you don't have to worry about that, and you can drive as hard as you want. What are your thoughts on that behind the neck overhead work?
Yeah, definitely overhead pressing derivatives. They are implemented before from the back, so behind the neck, because it's easier to learn this technique than the front rack technique. But I could say for general sporting population, as you know, when you are placing the bar behind the neck and you have to do or you have to lift the load to an overhead position, it's especially for mobility, right? You can find some problems for the athletes, right? And I talked about that with Paul Comfort, and he told me that maybe in many sports like rugby union or rugby league, you will not find many athletes with enough mobility to perform this exercise from the back. Although performing these exercises from the back is easier because the bar is in the center of pressure, and as you said, is technically is easier to learn this exercise before. And I think, of course, there's gonna be some technical peculiarities which might benefit, like the triple extension, as in the jumps.
Yes. So just considerations on who you're working with. I mean, that makes total sense to me. Optimal load, as far as, yeah. And I know that's a lot of what you guys are doing right now with your projects. Let's take just non-weightlifters for a second, and just field sport athletes, individual athletes, team sport athletes who are using the overhead derivatives to produce physical qualities that they can then later use in their sport. Is there an optimal intensity range in which you are still working on rate of force and force development, but you're also keeping velocity high so that you can also work on power development? Whereas if it's too heavy, maybe you get some diminishing returns in regards to power output, and if it's too light, you get some diminishing returns in regards to force output. Is that accurate to say, and is there an optimal range?
Yeah, that's what I would say. When people ask me that, I never say that you have always to train at the optimal load, because that's not true. It depends on the planification, it depends on the status of training, it depends on the coach, it depends on many things. What I could say that what does make sense. For example, could you use like power cleans, split jerks, hand power snatch with the bar for training power development, just with the bar? You can use those exercises with the bar if you want to improve the technique, if you want to, I don't know, to improve, the technical aspects of the lift. But if you want to target the power development, weightlifting exercises are fantastic exercises to target the speed abilities whilst you are overloading the exercise. It means you can use heavy loads and still getting very good velocities, very high velocities. So that's why I think it makes sense. If I get a squat or if I get a bench press, more traditional exercises, maybe I should target more the maximal strength capability, because I can get more weight on the exercises. And maybe I don't need to target a lot on the speed. Just, yes, try to lift it as much as possible, so as fast as possible, as you are an athlete, as you are a lifter. And for me, it makes sense. And also with jumps, it wouldn't make sense to jump with 180 kg on your shoulders. You can use weightlifting exercise, which are safer and probably will be better. and I could do jumps and these ballistic exercises just to target like in plyometrics, the strength shortening cycle and these things.